Great radio stations across the land, joepags.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, email. It's all right there, plus the live video feed. It's the Joe Pags Show. Glad to have you here. Really glad to have this guy back. It is the senator for the great state of Texas, Republican Ted Cruz. Ted, how are you?
Pags, I'm doing terrific. How are you doing today?
I'm living the dream, man. As you said when I answered the phone, there's really nothing going on. I don't even know why we're talking.
You know, Friday, I was flying back to Texas.
Yeah.
And I was on an airplane when news broke of Justice Ginsburg's passing. And so when I landed in Houston, I pulled out my phone, and my phone, unsurprisingly, had lit up.
Yeah.
With texts and emails, and obviously as the news was breaking, so I called my team and I asked them. I just said, "What did I miss?"
Right.
Which of course, as you know, is the line from Hamilton that Jefferson says when he comes back to America and has a whole song, "What did I miss?"
Right.
So
exactly.
A whole lot is happening right now.
Well, I was on the air when it happened, and I was surprised by it. I mean, she was up there in years, but she kept on battling back. Did you have a personal relationship with her at all? I know that her best friend in the court was Antonin Scalia, which I found to be amazing because he was such a constitutionalist and textualist, and
Yep.
she was such a liberal that thought that it was living and breathing. But off the bench, they were great friends. Did you know her at all?
Right. So I did. I knew Justice Ginsburg personally. We were not close, but I argued 9 times before her.
Right.
And she was brilliant. She had an extraordinary career, including being one of the finest Supreme Court advocates to have ever lived. She was really a trailblazing Supreme Court advocate. And her 27 years on the Supreme Court, she was consistently a justice on the left.
Right.
And you and I both disagree with many of her rulings.
Yes.
But she was unquestionably brilliant and incredibly capable. I can tell you when you were arguing before the court, her questions were always incisive. They were always dangerous. They were always effective.
Right.
And I remember when I was clerking at the court, I clerked for Chief Justice William Rehnquist,
Right.
and the chief, if he was assigning an opinion, and the Chief Justice assigns every opinion when he's in the majority, if he was assigning an opinion to a justice on the left on the court, and the court was ruling in a way that he disagreed as a matter of law, the justice he was most likely to assign that opinion was Justice Ginsburg, because she was a very careful lawyer. So even if the chief wasn't thrilled with what the majority of the court was ruling, he knew that she would just address that specific question before the court and not have all sorts of extraneous elements in it that would mess up whole other areas of law.
It's Senator Ted Cruz, Republican of the great state of Texas, as you know. When we go back 4 years, Ted, the mechanisms that were in place are the same ones that are in place now. By the way, nobody in the left media is talking about why it's a simple majority to get this done. Harry Reid did that. Harry Reid changed it because he thought that the Senate and the presidency would always be in Democrat hands. It was really not very prescient of him. But you don't need a supermajority to get judges seated, to get a justice seated, and this is the way the rules were set out by them. 4 years ago, the president then did his duty. Barack Obama nominated somebody. That is what he shall do according to the Constitution, and that nomination was Merrick Garland. You guys in the Senate were from an opposing party, and you said, we're not going to advise and consent right now, maybe eventually, but we don't feel like doing it right now. We'll wait to see what happens after the election. For some reason, people are alleging, including Barack Obama, that you guys basically set law 4 years ago that you can never, ever in an election year nominate and give advice and consent on the nominee. I mean, the biggest difference is that you've got a president and the Senate in the same party now. You guys agree. That's the biggest difference. The secondary difference might be that Barack Obama was lame ducked out. He was done no matter what. Donald Trump isn't. Give me your thoughts on the change of position from Biden and Obama, and even Ginsburg allegedly on her deathbed changed her opinion as well. Tell me your thoughts when you hear that.
Well, it is absolutely correct that every player in the political world is reversed in terms of their position.
Right.
So in 2016, all the Democrats were saying the Senate must confirm this nominee, must confirm this nominee, must confirm this nominee, and
Right.
the Republicans declined to do so. Now those two are largely inverted, but they're very different circumstances. So the media talking point, which the media is saturating the discussion with, is accusing all the Republicans of hypocrisy, and of
Right.
course ignoring that all the Democrats have flipped simultaneously.
Right.
But here's why the circumstances are very, very different, and you made reference to it, Pags. If you look back through our nation's history, this is not the first time that we've had a Supreme Court vacancy during a presidential election year. This has happened a lot. In our nation's history, in over 2 centuries, it's happened 29 times. So
Wow.
29 times there's been a vacancy during a presidential election year. In those circumstances, presidents have nominated individuals to serve in those vacancies all 29 times.
Right.
Every time. Whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, if you're the president, you make the nomination. That's clear. That's what Barack Obama did. That's what Donald Trump is going to do. That has been true every single time it has happened. Now, what the Senate does, history teaches us, is very, very different, depending on whether or not the Senate is of the same party as the president.
Right.
So in history, 19 of those times, the Senate and the president were of the same party. When the president and the Senate are of the same party, those 19 nominees, 17 of them were confirmed. History is very clear. When you have a president and Senate of the same party, the Senate takes up the nomination and in virtually every case confirms the nominee. On the other hand, of those 29, for those of you doing the math at home, that means 10 of them occurred when the Senate was of a different party than the president.
Right.
That's what happened with Barack Obama and Merrick Garland. Obama was a Democrat. The Senate was in control of the Republicans. Of those 10 nominations, the Senate confirmed only 2 of them. And so history is very clear that what happens with a vacancy in a presidential election year depends upon, largely, whether the president and Senate are of the same party. And that's not an arbitrary distinction, particularly right now when the two parties are campaigning before the American people, have very different visions of the court. And a big part of the reason Donald Trump was elected in 2016 was to nominate constitutionalist judges. A big part of the reason the American people elected Republican majorities in the Senate in 2014, 2016, and 2018 was to confirm constitutionalist judges, and that's what I believe we're going to do.
It's Senator Ted Cruz, tedcruz.org, tedcruz.org. Go there right now. You make such incredible points. The talking point in the left, as you know, is the people elect the president selects the nominee to the court. Well, the people have elected the president, as you said, and very, very important to note again, 2014, 16, and 18, the Senate not only stayed a Republican, it became even more Republican, because obviously that's what the country wants, and they knew that the Supreme Court would be a big deal. You and I have talked about this before when he put you on the list before, or when he was considering you on the list, and you told me that you like being a senator, you can be more effective as a senator. Has anything changed in your mind? Would you take the nomination if it were you?
No, nothing has changed, and I want to stay in the political fight, and if you want to know why I don't want to be a Supreme Court justice, this fight right now illustrates it perfectly. We've got a battle in the Senate to get this nominee confirmed. I am leading that fight, and frankly, we need strong, principled conservative leaders in the political arena. I hope to be part of nominating and confirming 2, 3, 4, 5 principled constitutionalists on the court.
Right.
I don't particularly want to be one of them.
It is Senator Ted Cruz, Republican of the great state of Texas. Joe Biden was asked whether he would pack the court, change the number to 11, maybe 13, should he become president. I don't think Biden understood the question, but his standard answer is, I've got to ask somebody. Well, he didn't say that. What he said was, it's a great question, but I'm not going to answer it right now. I don't think he's answered any questions right now, but again, there wasn't a teleprompter or anything. Ted, bottom line is this: can you, if you're the new president, just change it to 11? That's a change in the Constitution, right? Don't you need 2/3 of the states?
Well, you don't, unfortunately. So the number of justices on the court is something that is passed by ordinary legislation. It does not take, the Constitution doesn't set how many justices.
Was
are
it
in the
always
court.
9?
It's not always been 9. It has varied. It has been as few as 5. It has been as many as 10.
Oh, wow.
Now, it has been 9 for 150 years, so it hasn't changed in 150 years.
Okay.
But in the first century of our country's history, the number varied, and it's a statute passed by Congress and signed by the president. And so, if the Democrats win the White House and the Senate and the House, I believe they will pack the court. FDR tried to do it. FDR tried to increase the number of justices from 9 to 15. And even though he had Democratic huge majorities in both houses of Congress, and he was a Democrat obviously, his own party revolted on him and said, no, we're not going to politicize the court and pack the court, and they rejected it.
Today they would, though.
Today's
Today they would.
Today they would. Today's Democrats are so radicalized that I think if they take control, we will see them move to pack the court. And I think that is incredibly dangerous.
It is. I appreciate you straightening all that out, because I really thought that it was something that had to be a change in the Constitution. But you're right. As I used my brain, I read it many years ago. I should read it again. It's not, a number is not in there. All right. So we know how this process goes. Ted, is it important that it be a woman? You and I believe in meritocracy, but having a female perspective, especially a conservative, against the very liberal side that we have in the court might make sense. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, personally speaking, I don't think the nominee has to be a woman. I think the president should nominate the strongest constitutionalists who will remain faithful to the law and the Constitution. That being said, the president has already said he intends to nominate a woman, and that's certainly his prerogative. What I have encouraged him to do is to nominate a justice who has a proven record, who has stood and defended the Constitution, and critically who has endured the criticism and the heat from the press and hasn't flinched, because it's actually the final chapter of my book talks about, it lays out the history in detail of Supreme Court nominations, tracing back, starting with Eisenhower, and it goes through, Democrats, they get this right almost every time. Their justices vote almost exactly as they want in almost every single case. Republicans at best bat 500, and many of the worst judicial activists Republicans put on the court. Earl Warren, Bill Brennan, John Paul Stevens, David Souter, Harry Blackmun, the author of Roe versus Wade, was a Republican appointee. And I go through the history of where Republicans got it right and where we got it wrong. And if you look at the justices who stayed faithful to their oath, people like Antonin Scalia and Clarence Thomas and Sam Alito and my former boss, Chief Justice William Rehnquist, every one of them had a proven record. They had been principled constitutionalists, and they'd been through the fires. Where we get it wrong is where a Republican says, hey, this is a stealth nominee, no record at all, has never stood for anything, but wink, wink, nudge, nudge, deep down in their hearts they'll be really great. And 100% of the time, they turn into a train wreck.
Including John Roberts, who's on the court now. It is Senator Ted Cruz, Republican, great state of Texas. I'm frankly out of time, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about our friend Alyssa Milano, who, by the way, was great in Commando. She is a defund the police person. She is defund the police. The police suck. Probably has said F the police like everybody else on the left. Yet she heard somebody shooting a BB gun or something on her property the other day and called the police. Oh, the hypocrisy, Ted. If you get a chance to hug it out with Alyssa Milano again, might you bring this up? Because it made me think of you immediately, to be honest.
Well, unfortunately, the hard left, they have gotten more and more radical in their assault on the police. Defund the police, abolish the police. It is truly radical. It's truly dangerous. It endangers our families. And it also, and we're seeing this, NYPD, they're trying to cut $1 billion. The Austin Police Department has cut $150 million, a third of the budget. Yep. And the predictable result of the radical left attacking police departments and trying to defund the police is that more black lives are being lost, because we're seeing murder rates go up, we're seeing assault rates go up, we're seeing rape and sexual assault rates go up, And many of these crimes, far too many of these crimes, are occurring in low-income neighborhoods that often have significant African American or Hispanic populations, and the
Right.
victims of these murders are often African Americans, and it's the radical leftists with Black Lives Matter T-shirts that are fighting for policies that are costing more innocent black lives and brown lives and American lives. And this is really dangerous, and it's wrong.
And hopefully people will realize that the radical left that's saying defund the police is basically saying let them eat cake because they're not going to follow their own words. It is Senator Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you, Pags. God bless.
Right back at you. We're back after this in the Joe Pags Show. Stay right here.